Hey folks, it's Jim. Just want to do a quick video. I haven't had time lately. I've been out busy, but this video is fast-paced and has a lot of good information in it. For some of you, you are the first 6.5 minutes you already know. It's the last half you should stick around and listen to. Anyway, it's about statistical analysis and survivability in SHTF scenario. I will be reading from a script, and it's going to be fast. I wrote this very quickly as well. The analysis will be from two perspectives, urban metro versus rural. 66% of the U.S. population lives in 17 states. Again, 66% of the U.S. population lives in 17 states. Conversely, 31 states have less than 30% of the population combined. Another neat statistic, Alaska, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Maine, all 5 states have less than 1.5% of the population combined. Something else interesting, Canada only has 35 million, or 1/10 of the U.S. population on that huge landmass right above us. What is in common? What is the common thread of these numbers? Population. So the number one consideration of statistical analysis of survivability should be population. Population analytics should determine where you want to live. For 17 states, it does not look too good. I'm not going into the 17 states in this video. This is about the rest. That being said, let's go back to analyzing the 31 states with good statistical analysis. First, the majority, about 70% of the population of these states, live in major metropolitan areas and the urban areas that surround them. These densely populated areas are already primed to explode. Let's do a statistical analysis of these metropolitan areas and why it looks poor from a statistical view of survivability. We'll be looking at economic collapse and social unrest as our scenarios again. Most will not leave until it's too late. A study of the Jews in World War II shows that people are reluctant to give up their stuff and leave. Many preppers are preparing to do that very same thing in these areas. Preppers, have a bug-out plan if you live in these areas. It is human nature to stay with your stuff. Be aware of that. Let's do some statistical analysis of the demographics of metropolitan areas. 25% of these areas are in some form of government assistance. This demographic has a low statistical survivability analytics because of poor health, the obese, the elderly, drug addicts, both prescription and illegal, criminal elements, mentally ill, physically challenged, and mentally challenged. All of these people and others will be looking for help from the government along with a majority of the rest because they are not prepared and they will wait to be told what to do. Case in point. Look how many were easily herded into the Superdome like sheep. They went. Can you say FEMA camps? We have seen many examples over the years how these metro-urban areas can get violent in a hurry. Can you imagine how many mistakes will be made by civil authorities in an SHTF scenario? Case in point, Missouri. Now add hunger and fear to this time bomb. If you live in these areas and are a prepper, I would move, as I did. After the initial violence and destruction, there will not be much left. Eventually, the lights will go out and the water will stop running. Dead bodies and trash will be rampant. The smell will become so bad it will barely be tolerable, if not at all. Cholera, dysentery, and E. coli will abound. Someone brought up domestic pets. At some point during the first 60 days, pets will become food for these people. When pets are gone, then rats. Also, domestic pets do not have the genetics to survive in the wild. In my state, cats are Scooby snacks for the wild here. Very low on the food chain. We have one critter that just eliminates them. It loves them. It is at this point those who are left will try to leave. Now let's dissect the urban metro population from a survivability standpoint when those who are left try to evacuate. Less than 5% of these people even know the 4 basic knots of survival anymore. Even fewer remember what a ferro rod is, much less how to use it. Less than 1% of our boys are in Boy Scouts anymore. How many of them could hunt or trap? Even if they did catch something, would they know how to prepare it without making themselves sick? Could they start a fire in 3 days of driving rain? Even if they try to get out, most do not possess the skills to survive anymore. Then they would have to deal with roadblocks, militia, marauders, FEMA camps, and just the elements, as we stated. Yes, once a few bad apples get into the rural areas and cause a problem, the people of those rural areas will be putting up roadblocks with their local militia. It is said to survive in an SHTF scenario, one should get away from people and off the beaten path into the bush. How many of these people could survive the bush? How many will die of carbon monoxide poison from lack of experience with fire anymore? The sad fact is that the basic skills of survival have been lost over the last 40 years due to many factors. One factor is that 50% of households in these areas are single-parent households. These people are so busy trying to stay afloat with holding a job, cooking, cleaning, and running their kids around to their events. If they have any time, they want to rest. They are tired. Anyone who has been a single parent knows this. These people can fix a PC, remove a virus, and use a smartphone, because these are the skills of survival in their metro world now. You see, over the last 40 years, everything in these areas has been provided for them. Sociologically, they have evolved only the skills of modern society. Long ago, money became their primary tool of survival. With these facts in mind, can we see how the skills of survivability have been lost over the last 4 generations? It's due to a lack of need for them. The skills of survival, urban and metropolitan areas have replaced the skills of survival with video games, social media, and honey boo-boo. Most of these people are not preppers, nor do they even want to consider that something could happen on an SHTF level, let alone be prepared, due to most of them living paycheck to paycheck. The fact is that the American population in metro and urban areas has become vulnerable. Very vulnerable. The fact is that we have lost the basic skills of survival over time. These are the facts of our major population areas. If you are not aware of this, Russian intelligence is, Chinese intelligence is, and your government is. So if you didn't know this, now you do. This is why it will get so bad for these people. And most, if not all of these people will be wiped out. The thinning of the herd will be fast, furious, and devastating for these people. Now let's get to the good news for the rural populations of the 31 states. First, for these states, we can see from the first part of this presentation, the bulk of their populations will not survive. That said, they are already sparsely populated. Some states will have trouble keeping wildlife at bay. Second, with the advent of GMO food, local farmers markets are exploding in rural areas. They have become profitable again. People are turning to their local farmers to provide clean, healthy food again. Rural areas all over these 31 states are returning to a self-sustaining life cycle again. Since California began its reduction in farming due to an unsustainable population with regards to water and economics, the farming is being distributed throughout these 31 states that have the rural lands and the water to do so. It has been noted in some major publications that farming is profitable again. People want healthy food again, and the only way to get it is locally. Part of the reason this is happening is local farms can and do compete with the organic industry. Most supermarket chains are finding that local farmers provide better produce at a competitive price. These chains have found that people want to support their local economies and will choose local food over imported. Here in my area, the local Hannaford is stocked with a local choice for almost every vegetable. Local corn and potatoes are about the only choice. See if you can't notice this change in your local area. Even Walmart is beginning to do it. It's just good business. If you live in a rural state, see if you can't notice the change going on around you. Situational awareness. What is your state and local area doing? You may be surprised. Third, local beef, eggs, goat, mutton, deer, elk, etc. People are tired of antibiotic-filled, hormone-laden, irradiated meats and poultry. In my area, we have 5 local beef providers and a whole lot of small farms. The beef produced by these farms tastes better, is healthier, and cheaper when bought in what's called a meat package. This is several cuts of meat and hamburger bought in 10-pound boxes, individually packed, broken down as a family would use it, ready for the freezer. That is cheaper than the toxic stuff. Local industry is growing in many states as a result of the symbiotic relationship between local farmers and the people. They also have a better understanding of their customers and the people they serve. Again, situational awareness. See what is happening in your state. Something else that is going on is the return to a hormone and antibiotic-free dairy cattle. Our state has tons of cattle and plenty of local farms producing antibiotic hormone-free milk. It is awesome. See what's going on in your state. I bet you find much of the same. Fourth, water. People in rural areas have their own wells. They also know how not to contaminate water due to this fact. This is a huge reason the survivability goes way up for rural people. Think about it. Something else about this sparsely populated state that I live in. It produces all of the potatoes for a major fast food chain and still stocks the grocery stores and exports thousands and thousands of tons. So with regards to meat and potatoes, a northern staple, no worries here. You see, some states are becoming prepared. That is why the rich are building in these states. Not only will it be safer in an SHTF scenario, it is just a healthier way of life. Many states are doing the very same thing. See if yours is not one of them. One guy keeps saying there won't be any deer left. For many states, it will be the exact opposite. Deer are prolific breeders. According to the Bureau of Land and Wildlife Statistics, if left unchecked, their populations will double every 2 to 3 years. For some states, it requires out-of-staters to help to control the populations, or we would not be able to drive. In an SHTF event, for some states, there will not be enough people left to keep these populations in check anymore. There is just too much food in these states now, let alone when the population decreases by 70%. Again, situational awareness. Fifth, besides all the food being farmed and livestock being raised in these areas, there is something else. These areas are rich with wildlife. Here are some of the things they hunt every year to keep the populations down. Deer, bear, turkey, pheasant, duck, geese, moose, squirrel, gopher, groundhog, wolf, coyote, rabbit, bobcat, fox, marten, mink, fisher, porcupine, skunk, snake, raccoon, beaver, lynx, swamp rats, and most of all, fish. So, for those who think there will be no deer, for some states there will just be too many. By the way, if I'm out in the bush, the last thing I want to take is a deer. For one, it is a waste for a couple of people to take a deer. For another, I don't want to do all the work when there is much easier game to be had for a lot less effort. Also, the blood scent is not something you want in the air when you're trying to survive. This is why most will not survive in the bush. If I can smoke it or cure it or trade it, then I will take a deer. By the way, one deer will feed 200 to 300 people. Also, in case you haven't thought about it, one pig will do the same. Small tribes used to feed on one kill for weeks. With a mass reduction in population, there will be plenty for many states. See what your state has got. For those of you thinking they will be able to flee to these areas, because of a few bad apples, these areas will no longer trust anyone. They will look upon you as a threat, a virus, a disease that will threaten their very existence, and they will not let you in. Some of them will be looking for vengeance and retribution for the damage a few bad apples have done before you. They will fear you. They will not trust you. They will simply tell you to turn around. They will not even let you drive through. They will protect their families with deadly force. If you try to go into their woods, they will smell your fire. They can track a deer. You think you're any challenge for them? They are deadly at 200 to 500 yards. How good are you? Again, they will fear you. You will be in their world now, a world that they know far better than you. There are some places in the backwoods of all these states locals do not go. Again, this is their world, not yours. Do you know where to go? Do you know where not to go? I would be getting to know some of these people in these rural areas if I were a prepper, or I would build a camp there. They have town meetings every week. They will organize quickly. Their gossip chains move faster than Ma Bell. They know and respect nature. They depend on it. They know how to survive already. There are, in fact, 2 distinctly different populations living in the U.S. now. Can you see why the rich are building their bunkers behind these rural people? If you're an urbanite, I would begin to think about these things. If you are a real prepper, you already know these things. If you didn't, you do now. The U.S. is changing in many ways. Be aware of it. What is your situational awareness? This is just some of the stuff that I've been thinking about lately. Go on, write in your questions and all that. I'll try and answer them. There are a lot of answers that I couldn't get to on this. It was just something I wanted to put out that would work in less than 15 minutes. Again, good luck. And someone brought up my glasses. Sorry, but I can't see the timer on the video if I don't wear them. Anyway, if I don't wear these. Anyway, experience, strength, and hope. I wish you all the best, and good hunting. Jim out.